welcome to the TIFF podcast to do with any psychological and social issues that we'll like to discuss. I'll start off by asking everyone to introduce themselves, if you don't mind. Starting with Evgenia. Can you introduce yourself, please?
Yes, I'm Evgenia Yorganda. I'm from Greece, and I am a thalassemia patient, but I'm also a clinical psychologist and a psychotherapist in private practice since 1987. And I also teach existential psychotherapy. So I've been a part of TIFF for a number of years and served also on the board. And I'm very happy to be part of this podcast, and thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. Kathleen?
Yeah, hi, I'm Kathleen Durst. I'm a psychotherapist as well. I am practicing in United States, and I work for the Thalassaemia Foundation, working with the patients on the various psychotherapy issues. I also work for Headspace. It's a meditation app using meditation to really help with different emotional wellness issues.
Thank you. June?
Of course. Hello, everybody. My name is Jude. I am originally from Syria. I live in Sweden now, and I'm thalassemia patient.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Abhinav?
Yeah, hi everyone. I am Avinav Paudel from Nepal. I'm a thalassemia major patient. I'm of 27 years old and I'm with the Nepal Thalassaemia Society. I was former treasurer in the in our organization, and this year I've been just a board member. So I was in a part of Malaysian conference last time, and as an activist, I'm working in here in Nepal for the patient like me.
Thank you. Jasmine, can we come back to you?
Yeah. Yeah, can you hear me right now?
That's
Yeah.
perfect. Yes,
Okay.
excellent.
Okay. My name is Yasamin Setaki, and I'm a thalassemia patient from Iran. I have a master's degree in genetics, and I'm specifically working on pharmacogenetics of oral chelators of thalassemia. And I'm so honored to be here with you.
Thank you. Wonderful. So, with no further ado, what I will do is I will be asking the questions to our two professionals. And when they give us the answer, then we can all of us comment or ask a little bit more on the same specific subject. And I'll start with the first question. How can people with thalassemia feel okay about themselves when society expects everyone to compete? In Asia countries where there might be more judgment, how do we help patients to stop them worrying about their life and future so they can feel just as good as everyone else? In underdeveloped countries where stigma may be rooted, with strategies can be implemented to help these patients overcome challenges and attain a comparable level of mental resilience. Hello? Evgenia,
Okay.
can you
So,
start? Kathleen?
yeah, yeah, yeah. A very interesting question. Uh, what I wanted to start it off with, when hearing this question, is a little bit from my experience. As I said, I've been practicing psychotherapy since 1987, and I've worked in many different settings, in many different placements with people with a broad range of mental illnesses, and also in my private office with what we would call our normal neurotics. But um, and I want to say that all people face the same issues. I don't think that thalassemia is something that is very different from everybody else, from people who are suffering either from mental health problems or from other physical illnesses or from your, as we call them, normal people. I have come to believe that there is no such thing. There is no normal person, really. We all have our difficulties, and it depends on our idiosyncrasies and also, of course, in our background and in the world in which we have grown up. So, yes, of course, prejudice from our environment, especially prejudice from our own families, would be a serious difficulty, okay? Because that would affect the way we see ourselves, especially as children. We build our self-image and our self-esteem from the feedback we receive from other people. So if we grow up in a very stigmatized environment, that would definitely affect the way we see ourselves. But so I think that one of the most important issues is to really normalize ourselves, that thalassemia is a blood disorder, and as a blood disorder has certain difficulties that we all face, like the transfusions, the chelation, and of course the complications as we get older. But that does not necessarily make us something less than other people, and something that is of with less abilities or less capabilities to lead a very successful and satisfying life, and to also have a satisfying family life, and so on and so forth. So I think, first of all, we as patients need to see ourselves differently and help also our environment to understand and to realize that having a blood disorder does not mean that we are not equal to everybody else. So I want to start by that, and then, we can expand on that as much as you want.
Kathleen?
Yeah, Jenya, that you said it so well. I think that the idea of forming that sense of self, of how we think about ourselves, is so important. So with thalassemia patients, from the beginning, understanding that is something that is very important, almost like another medicine, right? Like if you have that strong view of yourself and a real accurate understanding that this is a medical condition that there's treatments for, and I'm going to move through this system and take care of myself, and be able to separate from the thoughts that society is putting on, the expectations society is putting on, the judgment, the worry, et cetera, et cetera. I think that is very helpful. Then the question is, but how do we get there, right? So yeah, that is the idea. How do we get there? So as much as is possible, gaining support, a supportive environment from the beginning. Not everybody's born into a supportive environment, so finding a mentor. So like TIFF, I know Cooley's Anemia Foundation, all of the different foundations and organizations are very strong on having mentors, so that you can really keep that sense of self. You can talk to somebody who's been through it and who's gotten to their goals that they want, and then that connection and that understanding from that other person that they've been there and they've done it can help keep that mindset strong and help build that mindset from the very beginning, because this is a condition that happens from birth, right? So it's just a lifelong building of the way you think of yourself. So those would be some of my thoughts on that.
Somebody would like to comment on what we've just heard? Jude, Jasmine?
I have a
Avina?
question. Yeah, but
Okay.
how about when we're trying to prove we are not different, but then we have problem keeping the balance and then sacrifice our health in order to stay in the competition, you know?
Can you be more specific, like exactly what are you wondering?
Yes, we are talking about giving this opinion to patients that we are not different. So we have to compete in the society
Hmm.
with other people who are normal people. So we have a limited energy, and then after some time, we have to sacrifice something, and that would be our health, because we say we are not different, so we
Hmm.
don't pay attention to our health. And I think that would be a problem in patients who are active and work with other people in society and compete.
Hmm. So I'll
Well,
just add something real quick to that, Evgenia, if I may. I guess the way I look at that, Yasmin, is there's two types of we're not different. One is the I'm not different. I deserve to get what I want out of life, just like everybody else on this world. I deserve to get my goals. I deserve to work hard. I deserve to have what I want, right? So I'm not
Yes.
different in that way. But then I think there's the realistic, concrete differences that we have to accept and know with thalassemia, right? That everything you just mentioned, there's a lot of time that goes into going to the hospital. That there's a practical aspect of it, right? That takes away from the time that you may be studying or maybe pursuing different things. That's going to be different from other people, certainly. So I guess that's how I look at this. Like, we're not different at the core, in that we deserve and I'm going to get what I want. I'm saying my patients. And then there's the but, yeah, and I have to go about things in a different way, or I have to manage things in a different way to get to the goals that I want, maybe compared to other people.
yeah,
If
I would like to add something more. Uh, you seem a little hesitant because I hear that also from my clients here in my private practice, and I very often wonder whether we really need to adhere and promote this very competitive world we live in. I understand that we live in a very competitive world, but I wonder whether this is really what we need to adhere to or what we need to follow. I think that each one of us has a path, a very unique path. We are all very different, and we all have both capacities and limitations, and there is nobody that has absolutely no limitation. So we each have to find our own path and the things that are fulfilling in our life that are within our limitations. And I think that thalassemia doesn't pose such severe limitations. In what way? We are very bright people. I see a lot of very successful thalassemics by now, and we are very, very good in what we do. Yes, we might have less energy, although I don't see that very much in younger people, and I don't remember myself as not having enough energy when I was young. Um, but we do have to spend more time in hospitals and deal with things that other individuals of our age may not have to deal with. And this is why I think the work that TIF and the local associations are doing in terms of having a certain priorities in like have no difficulties with a number of absences in school, or having certain privileges in being able to enter the university, and so on and so forth, might be a very important support for helping us, because we realistically have certain obstacles to deal with. So we definitely need to have more of a social program that supports thalassemics, but that, I think, would be the same for diabetic children or for other individuals who are in different ways in need. But I think that we are very competent individuals, and we could do a lot of things. Of course, we also have our limitations, but I'm not so sure that we need to get into the mentality of competing with others, but instead to look at what is the things that are really fulfilling in our life, and what are the things that we are good in doing.
If I may just add a little sideline to this discussion, um, and this is what something that I've been advocating for many, many years. The provision of our treatment, specifically the hospital timings and the ability to do 2 tests at the same day rather than go 3 times. So the organization of the provision of our treatment makes a tremendous difference into your life and your capabilities of pursuing your goals. And just to give you an example, in my hospital, we used to be able to go for transfusions at night. Therefore, it would not interfere with my work or my school or my university. And that made a tremendous difference to my capabilities, whether you want to call it competing or whether you want to call it being successful. It was a tremendous help. So also the ability to have a proper hemoglobin and not drop down to 8, which makes you absolutely useless in doing anything. So these are,
Mm-hmm.
for me, the practical things that we can concentrate on making better, and they will on their own multiply, will have a multiplying effect on the quality of our life. That was my
Yes.
2 pence. Um,
Yeah. I absolutely agree. I think that these are very important things that different associations are really fighting for, in terms of the system to really be supportive of the way we are in society. But otherwise, we really have the capacities to do a lot of things, so that it is not a matter of incompetence. It is a matter of having resources available that would help us, exactly as you're saying, to live as much of a normal life as we can possibly have.
I
Thank
know a
you.
lot of my patients,
Sure.
what I see that maybe patients who have the highest quality or higher quality of life are ones that, on a more practical level, let's say their jobs allow them to leave to get a transfusion, their jobs allow them to work while they're doing a transfusion. There's more, kind of understanding and support there. I also see my patients with a higher quality of life, or perceived higher quality of life, are ones that are the most creative, figuring out how to use their time the best they can, given all these constraints, right? Given all these difficulties that let's say the people that they are aligning with or working with just don't have. So I think it is a lot of extra creative work on the patient's part to make it happen. Convincing the doctor to let them go to that night clinic. We have a clinic in New York City, and it's a night one, but a lot of the patients can't go because the doctors say, well, it's full, or you can't go because you don't have a daytime job technically, which is none of their concern, none of their business really, right? If the patient wants to go at night, patient should go at night.
Correct.
So those are my thoughts.
That's privilege we don't have here in Sweden. It's always 8 to 4 here.
Yeah, same in
And
Nepal.
also, not everyone has privilege to like sit in an office and
Hmm.
get blood or sit in a hospital and do their job.
Yeah,
For me, when I applied for a job, I didn't even mention to my employees that I am have this medical condition, in fear that they won't employ me, that they will think less of me, which is problem.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes,
not
same.
all of us have this privilege, sadly. And I think my boss so far doesn't know about my condition because I have not full-time job. So I I schedule myself between the hospital and my job, and so far she doesn't know anything because I think
Mm-hmm.
she would think less of me, sadly.
Mm.
Okay, I'd like to move on to the next
In
question,
my country,
which is not
okay.
very. Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead, Yasmin.
Um, is it okay? Is it okay to mention that in my country, sometimes if you mention that you are a thalassemia patient or have other disabilities, they do not hire you, and that's not even the
Mm.
transfusion dates and other issues. It's much, much worse than that. And that's what I meant about competing in society, trying to prove you
Yeah.
are worth
yeah,
the
yeah,
time, that job, and
yeah.
other things, you know?
Yeah. Very true.
The major concern is that the society is different. Every
Yes.
society is different. So
Mm-hmm.
level of judgment, thinking,
Okay, now
it depends on that.
let me just finally make a comment and then we can move on to the next question. Uh, what you're talking about, it's nothing different to what I and Aviania and others in Europe have faced. Because don't forget, I am
Hmm.
65 years old. So when I was your age, there was absolutely nothing organized for thalassemia, and the treatment we were getting was exactly the same. It was a matter of continuously pursuing, continuously pushing, and continuously saying, "No, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna get better." So we're now going into different determinations. But let's leave it at that and move to the next question. Are there specific psychological differences or things that thalassemia patients should avoid doing compared to normal individuals to prevent depression, anxiety, and stress? Should we limit ourselves or we must restrict to specific circumstances? Kathleen, do you want to start?
Yeah, I had a tough time with this one. I had to really think. Honestly, I can't think of um psychological differences that they should avoid. Um I mean, if I'm understanding it correctly, meaning are there things in life that they should avoid because it'll impact them
Yes.
psychologically harder?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can't think of any. I cannot think of any. I think that with what that everyone deserves to be able to pursue what you want, whether it's love, whether it's becoming a doctor, becoming a teacher, be whatever it might be, parent. But it's just being ready and having a lot of self-care, while you're going through whatever pursuit that it is. I would say that I would not recommend just doing it without without people to support and to help go through it, because every endeavor is going to have its set of complications. But I do not doubt any of my patients will get through and, get to where they want to be. And there's should be nothing, they shouldn't hold back for any reason. But with care, I hope I'm clear about that, with whether it's therapy, great support system, coaching, mentoring, accessing all that wellness help.
Well, I would like to say, well, if a thalassemic wants to be an astronaut or a doctor without borders and travel all over the world, I think that would be very difficult to do. So there are definitely certain limitations to what we can and cannot do, as far as our necessity to be in a place where we can have our medical care. Other than that, I don't see any reason why one must not dream of becoming what they really want to become. I want to connect it a little bit with the previous question about the mental resilience. The issue of resilience is a very important issue in psychology. And what is it that helps us build resilience? And I think that what I have seen, at least in my life and in my work, is that people that go through hardships sometimes are a lot more stronger and more resilient. They have built more of a resilience towards difficulties in life. And one of the things that is very important for everybody to come to terms with is that life is difficult. It is impossible to go through life and not face difficulties. Even if you have absolutely no health problem, right, and you have a whatever happy childhood or whatever, you still are going to face difficulties in life. And people who have faced difficulties from early on are a lot more prepared for difficulties in later life. So at least the way I understand thalassemia very often is that it has given me a lot of strength to fight through life and to really go for the things I wanted, just because I knew how precious life is and that it was not a given. And that I really, however, also knew that I had to fight for what I wanted, and it wouldn't come in my plate so easily. So I don't think that there are really any psychological differences. As I said from the beginning, I think that we all are human beings that face difficulties, and we each have to come to terms with the difficulties that we face.